So yeah, this one's a doozy. This one's definitely unexpected. Basically, what ended up happening is I am a first-hand witness of this. I was asleep watching the Joe Rogan podcast because I put it on to fall asleep to. And there's this dude named Tim Kennedy on. He's an ex-Navy SEAL. He does Navy SEAL stuff like shoot guns. And he suggested moments after I woke up. I wake up and I just see this moment. He goes, "Hey Joe," and Joe's like, "Hey Tim," and Tim goes, "What if you hosted a debate on the podcast 4 or 5 hours long between Joe Biden and Donald Trump?" And Joe Rogan goes, "Yeah, I'd do that. I think I would do that. I'd do that. Yeah, I'd probably end up doing that. That'd be pretty cool. I think that would be fire. I should do that." It wasn't exactly those words, but just imagine Joe Rogan. And it just so happened. This is amazing. This year is amazing. I can't believe this actually happened. Donald J. Trump himself tweets out. You gotta love this man's Twitter. It's his best way of communicating. He tweets out that he's accepted the debate and he's actually challenged Joe Biden to go in the Joe Rogan podcast and debate him. That is amazing. Bro, if you asked me 1 year ago where we would be, I think it would be anything but where we are right now. This is just 2020. If this happens, which there's a good chance it might at this point, because he literally, Trump's down. I have no real surprise when I found out that he was the one who accepted. The problem is, Joe Biden, there's a high likelihood he's not accepting that debate. There's just a high likelihood he's not doing it, okay? I don't care if you're a Republican, I don't care if you're a Democrat. This man, when he's left alone for a few hours, he tends to, he's not always the best. You don't always want to leave him unsupervised. Just doesn't work out all the time. This basically sums up what happens when Joe Biden gets let loose by his supervisors.
What did he say? You have to, don't do it.
So basically my point stands that Joe Biden might not be the best option here. And I'm not a Trump supporter either, but all I'm gonna say is Joe Biden doesn't want TikTok deleted. And as far as I'm concerned, if I still have to keep watching videos like this,
In my head, I don't know what to think. Came out to the ground and pulled out a ring and said, "Marry me, Juliet, you never have to be alone."
then I'm gonna be very upset because I am not conforming. Okay, I'm not getting a TikTok. I've tried it. I don't like it. It's beyond infuriating to me. I just don't understand it. I don't get it. I'm like an old man trying to use an iPhone. I don't mean to rag on Joe Biden here, but I think he's gonna be the one that doesn't allow this interview to happen. So I'm gonna keep ragging on him. Not only will he not do an interview with Joe Rogan, most likely, in a debate against Trump, not only does he not want to do that, but he in fact is a great enemy of India, one of our great allies. Think we're allies. I'm not really sure. We haven't nuked each other yet. Here's a video of him supporting India's greatest enemy, Pakistan.
I love Pakistan. I will sacrifice my life for Pakistan. I love Pakistan. We all love Pakistan.
Now this is just a classic cold case of collusion, if you ask me. Most likely sponsors terrorism as well. We don't know. I mean, most politicians do somehow one way or another. Honestly, you could accuse any politician of supporting terrorism, and you basically got a 50-50 shot of somehow they indirectly caused 9/11. And when I was browsing YouTube, I saw a Trump ad saying, "In Joe Biden's America, China's in charge." And I didn't even watch the ad. I saw the title. That was pretty convincing. I saw a picture. It was a cool thumbnail. And I said, you know what? Maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. I didn't even need to see the evidence. I just said, maybe he's right. Because as far as I'm concerned, Biden's not the one in charge of his own brain at this point. Hey, but at least he loves black people, right? He's never said anything to offend the black vote.
We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
I want this interview. I want the Joe Biden, Donald Trump interview on the Joe Rogan podcast. I'm a one-issue voter at this point, okay? Trump's going on the Joe Rogan podcast. I don't even need to know his policies. I like Joe Rogan, and I think just the title, Trump went on a Joe Rogan podcast, that's good enough for me. I'll vote for him. I can't even vote, so my opinion doesn't matter. I'll say anything outrageous in politics. I've accused H3 of terrorism at this point, okay? I'll say anything. But you know what? If Joe Biden does this interview, ladies and gentlemen, I will make an entire video apologizing. I'll flip the script. I'll go after Trump. I might just make a video making fun of what happens on the Joe Rogan podcast, because there's a high likelihood that if he did go on the podcast for the debate, there's a relatively high likelihood that halfway through he might fall asleep and die. And when I say he, I mean either one of them. However, there's a slight chance that Trump at this point might be on meth, so I doubt he's going to be falling asleep. I mean, this man's energy levels simply do not make sense for a man in his 70s. It doesn't add up. He's on drugs. I also think Joe Biden's probably on drugs as well. It's just what they do. It's what politicians do. They say, hey, how do I get more energy? And then they look in the history books. They're like, how did people get energy in the past? And they go, well, the Nazis, they just gave their soldiers meth. And those guys walk 300 miles in a week. Probably not the healthiest thing. But hey, we're still the best country in the world as of right now. In 3 months, who knows? There's a high likelihood there's a civil war that breaks out in 3 months. So that it might be all downhill from here. Yeah, nobody knows what's going on in this country anymore. Half the people, actually more than half the people, have zero clue what they're talking about. I remember being told in a history class by a history teacher about the stock market crash of the 1920s. And this one stock guy goes, hey, if you're getting your stock advice from a shoe shiner, you should probably sell your stocks because the stock market's fucked. Well, I'm beginning to realize that if the average white suburban mom thinks she can run a country better than the politicians, your country's fucked. It's over. It's gonna burn down. And in California, it already is. But anyway, guys, I know I did rag on Joe Biden a little bit, but like I said, this has nothing to do with politics at this point. If he goes on the podcast, I'll take back everything I said. Unless he goes on the podcast and it turns out he is in fact suffering from Alzheimer's and going to die in the next 6 months. I think just a hunch, throwing it out there. I think he might be a little bit of a bitch, because normally when you campaign for a presidential election, you're usually always out there doing stuff. This man didn't show his face for 89 days in a presidential campaign. Okay, 89 days, didn't even show his face. How is that even possible? He's expected to win? I don't understand this. He's expected to win, and this man basically gave up for a straight 3 months, and we're supposed to believe that this was the best choice the Democrats could have picked. That blows my mind. This man didn't show his face for 90 days in the most controversial presidential election since like Abe Lincoln. That's pretty much the end of the video. Subscribe, like the video, check out my Twitter. I'll link the Twitter. I mainly just post thoughts and my ideas, basically memes. Yeah, that's about it. Have a nice day.